Hello, and welcome to my PvP guide for Survival Hunter in 7.1. This is going to be my first video and first guide on WoW and YouTube. Near enough. So, let's get this started, shall we? Right, so obviously, we're going survival, because meh, meh. Okay? Yep, got that sorted, out of the way. Right, on the first talent row, we have on level 15, we have Animal Instincts, Throwing Axes, and Way of the Mok'Nathal. Animal Instincts is just not reliable enough. We've got 4 abilities that it reduces the cooldown of by 2.6 seconds, which is just not enough, and it's just not reliable to say which one it's going to have the cooldown for. So for PvP in general, it's not very useful. PvE, on the other hand, it can be very strong, but PvP, no. We'll get back to Throwing Axes. Way of the Mok'Nathal. Right, you are never going to keep it at 4 stacks. I'm telling you this right now. Do you know why? Because we never use Raptor Strike. Probably once or twice in the entirety of a battleground or arena, you will use Raptor Strike. And if you base your spec around Raptor Strike, you will have 0 damage. Easy as that. This is getting buffed in 7.1.5 to 10 seconds, I think. So we'll see how that goes, but I still don't think it's that good. Throwing Axes, on the other hand, extremely high damage, it's ranged, and you get 2 lots of it. So if you've thrown both lots of axes, and then put all your dots on them, when you're up close to them, flanking strike, lacerate, whatever, up in their face, just killing them, you know. And then by the time that's up, 13-second recharge, put your tar trap down, run away from them, start throwing your axes. Especially when there's like a magical shield up from a Death Knight or ice barriers from mages, anything like that. It's perfect to just get that out of the way so you can do max damage with your mongoose bites. Perfect. Throwing axes is the way to go on the first one. Murder of Crows on the second talent tree it's great for BGs, but not so much for arena. I don't use a Murder of Crows, even though I really like it, because I like Snake Hunter a little bit more. And Snake Hunter is perfect for, and it's extremely reliable because it gives you those 3 charges. So three charges of Mongoose Bite, Snake Hunter, 3 charges of Mongoose Bite, 6 stack Fury of the Eagle, max damage, right? With Aspect of the Eagle on as well. So that's great for BGs, but I prefer Snake Hunter. And Mortal Wounds is just not useful, it's not reliable, and it's not even good in PvE. That's how bad it is. Next row. Post Haste is probably the one you want to go for here because it removes you from all movement impairing effects, PvP, and increases your movement speed by 60% for 5 seconds. Now that movement speed after it is really underrated. You don't realize how much you actually love it. Getting you away from movement impairing effects is fantastic. That's what you use it for mainly, or get close to the caster or whatever you need to do. But the movement speed is fantastic to keep up with them as well, especially with Master's Call, but I'll get through that in a sec. Fast Strider is not useful at the moment. It is getting buffed to 15% in 7.1.5, but currently it's just not as useful as Post Haste, and it probably still won't be. Trailblazer, your movement speed is increased by 30% anytime you have not attacked for 3 seconds. So when you've been out of combat, which mainly applies to PvE related things like world quests, dungeons, raids, anything to keep you moving along. Because Post Haste isn't going to benefit you, and neither is Fast Strider in PvE, let's be honest. But this is PvP, so Post Haste all the way. Next one's Caltrops. I have only ever used this once, and I still keep using it, even though I'm not too sure why, on Strand of the Ancients to stop the demolishers. Easy as that, and stop people planting at the gates. Because you can put that down, and they'll try and plant, and they'll have to move to another spot where they're next to you, and you can just beat the crap out of them. It's great. But that's the only reason. I've used it in Arena a couple of times, but it really isn't very good. Improved Traps is fantastic. I would use that for Arena 100% of the time. purely because of the freezing trap reduction. Explosive is fantastic to have that reduced, but tar trap and freezing, having that reduced cooldown is fantastic for arena. Steel trap, however, is fantastic for BGs because you never use freezing trap. Well, you barely use freezing trap in BGs, but you will use freezing trap a lot in arena, so don't use steel trap unless you're doing 2s and you're in a burst comp. So, and you need to like just kill someone and get that out of the way, so it's 2v1. And the next row we have Sticky Bomb, which isn't powerful at knocking them away. I've tried it on Eye of the Storm and Lumber Mill and everything like that in Arathi, but it just doesn't knock them very far. They have to be on the edge to be knocked off, like another person as well. So it's just not very useful, and it's kind of used as an interrupt in PvE, but it's still not worth it compared to others. Ranger's Net is probably the one you're going to go for here because of it's a root and a 50% slow after it, and roots and slows are perfect for PvP, as you probably all know, so that's the way to go. You can take camouflage as well with the tracker's net on honor talents, which we'll get to, and this will turn into wing clip, which is the slow, but it's not got any diminished returns on the wing clip, so that's quite good. So it's between those two, depending on what you're playing against. Camouflage I'd use in BGs, Ranger's Net in Arena. Next line we have Butchery, which is just basically a better carve, and it's not very good in PvP because we never use carve in PvP. Easy as that. Dragon's Fire Grenade is a very high hitting dot that slows people by 20%. People. Over 8 seconds. That's quite a lot of damage. It also does a bit of AoE damage, but it's not that strong. But it's still AoE damage, isn't it? So if you're versing a melee comp in a melee cleave comp in arena, they're both going to take a little bit more damage than normal. Say if you put Spider Sting on them both with a carve, it won't be that strong. And getting on to Spider Sting, it's actually not as strong as Dragon's Fire Grenade, even though it does a little bit slower to get more damage out. It doesn't slow, it doesn't do AoE damage unless you carve it, which you don't use carve, so it's more buttons on your bar that you don't need to use. Dragon's Fire is the way to go. I know 30-second cooldown, but you hardly realize that it's 30 seconds. It will be on your bar every time you think you need it. Don't worry about that. On the last row we have Spitting Cobra, which is only needed if you need focus, and we do not need focus in PvP. We do not. We use abilities when we need them, not in a strict rotation. The only strict rotation we have is the Mongoose Bite rotation, which is obviously not needed for any kind of focus. So yeah, that does no damage as well. No, let's totally ignore that. Expert Trapper buffs all your traps. So Freezing Trap makes them slowed when they come out of freezing. Explosive does more damage. Tar does a root. Steel does immediate damage when triggered, and Caltrops does a bit more damage, but Caltrops meh. Aspect of the Beast, it really needs to get reworked. You've got Cunning, which is going to be what you're going to be using for PvP, Cunning Pets. It slows. That's not very useful. And you're never going to use a Ferocity or Tenacity in PvP. Purely because Ferocity doesn't do any more damage and it doesn't have any special effects to it, like Roar of Sacrifice. And Tenacity just... it's a bit selfish, Tenacity. Just helps itself. Unless you're in PvP. PvE. I keep getting them mixed up. Where Thunderstomp will give you more stacks of Mongoose Bite. It's strange, but yeah. But Cunning's the way to go. So, let's go to our honor talents. The first row, we have Gladiator's Medallion, which you will only use for PvP. Can't believe I was going to say that. You only use that for Arena, okay? You maybe use Relentless in Arena if it's 3v3 and you versus a Druid, a Mage comp, where it's a CC comp with Cyclones, Polymorphs, Hexes, everything like that. Other than that, you will just practically use Gladiator's Medallion in PvP in Arena. I've done it again. Adaption, don't even look at. There's no point. Just ignore this. Relentless is great for BGs or obviously, like I've just said, CC comps. But for Battlegrounds, that's great. Stops the cooldown, and you're never going to need your medallion to get out of something. You're always going to get hit. So if someone disorients you for 7 seconds, someone's going to hit you. It's a BG. It's like a cluster fudge of people. Cluster fudge, that's new. Anyway, hardiness on the next one is quite useless because you're never going to stay above 80% health. You never are. Like, I wish you could, it'd be great, but you're not. So let's ignore that. Reinforced armor gives you 10% health, which boosts your health up to 2.8 million, which is one of the highest melee health pools there is, which is great because you can just take a lot more damage. And survival hunters are probably the tankiest melee class other than arms warriors. No, just warriors in general, actually. Other than tanks, obviously. But yeah, we're very tanky. Talking about the tankiness, we have sparring as well, which has a 20% chance to blunt the enemy's weapon, I think, dealing 50% reduced damage, which is a lot less damage on you, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you're against a melee cleave and you use sparring and they both get that, I mean, the luck is unreal. It would never happen. But if they both had it, both reduced 50% damage, that's a lot. And having that 10% health ain't going to really matter. So you'd need relentless sparring against a melee cleave because there'd be lots of CC, lots of stuns, and then you could reduce the damage. On the next row, we have Dragon Scale Armor, which is mainly against magical dots, so afflictions, mages, well, warlocks, mages, etc. So you'd only use that against that. Cat-like reflexes against a melee cleave, so you can dodge other attacks. Not all their attacks, enough of their attacks. So you would casters, melee, and this one is awesome because I know it only removes harmful magical effects, but it reduces damage taken by 99% for 1.5 seconds. So as soon as you see something big coming, just feign death, they're going to pop their massive cooldown, which is supposed to do a lot of damage, and it will do like 1% damage to you. How great is that? If you've got to time that perfect though, and it removes all dots from say an affliction warlock, so he might just start crying. But oh well. But yeah, they're all situational this row. Whatever you feel is necessary. On the next row we've got Viper Sting, Scorpion Sting and Spider Sting. Viper Sting is the one you'll mostly be using throughout the whole of PvP, Battlegrounds and Arena. Scorpion Sting we're not even going to look at because there's no point, it's not very good. Straight up. Spider Sting, if you're against a caster who is casting offensive spells at you, this is perfect. So it's either between Viper Sting or Spider Sting depending on who you're against. Make that choice, like in Arena. In BGs, I would just go for Viper Sting. Actually, it's personal preference. If you like silencing people, go for it. Just pick on the mages, they'll hate you, but do it. Next row, we have Hunting Pack, Mending Bandage, and Master's Call. Hunting Pack was useful when leveling up my honor talents, but now it's absolutely useless because of these two talents. Mending Bandage is fantastic when you aspect of the turtle because they stop all damage on you, all direct damage on you, and you can heal and remove all poisons, diseases, bleeds, and if you've got survival tactics, you remove the harmful magical ones as well. And remove all that and heal for free. How good's that? Master's Call is probably the better one though, because it makes you immune for 4 seconds against movement impairing effects, and it clears it all as well. So if you're against a Frost Mage who keeps freezing you, Master's Call, run through it for 4 seconds, keep hitting them, and then you've got Harpoon with what's it called? Post Haste, which removes you from movement effects. So for about 8 seconds you can stay on them. And then if you can't, just freezing trap them. Easy. Fantastic ability. The last one, we have Sticky Tar, Diamond Ice, and Trekker's Net. And Sticky Tar is fantastic for BGs because of... it's a cluster fudge. I like that word now, I'm going to keep that. where basically all the melee is going to be stacked on each other, which reducing their attack speed by 50% with this on for 3 seconds. When they're in 3 seconds, it's fantastic. BG is perfect. Diamond Ice, mainly for arena, mainly for healers. So if you Diamond Ice them, then put all your dots on them, and then switch target to the other person, they've got all the dots taken on them, so they have to split their healing, which is fantastic if it's used correctly. If it's not, like I've done many a times, it's just ruined my complete rotation by blocking out all my dots. It's not great, but you've really got to get used to it, and it is a fantastic ability to have. Now, Tracker's Net, however, it's a bit like Ranger's Net, but it will stop all damage, well, 80% of damage, but if they get hit, they come out of it, you see, and they don't get the slow because Ranger's Net has the slow. But if you take Tracker's Net and then Camouflage, you've got a root and a camo. So if you feign death camo, because you've dropped all with survival tactics, all the harmful magic effects, say you're against affliction, say 1v1, I know this will never happen, but if you have a duel, you can drop all their dots with feign death, get up, not even get up from it, camo straight away, which I could probably show you, give it a shot anyway. So, I feign death, and Flux is coming on, so yay. And then straight into camo, you're healing, and they can't see you because all the dots are off you. They would have to be very quick to put some kind of AoE on you like that just to stop you in place, but it's a great little combo. And Tracker's Net is perfect for people, keeping people at bay as well. Say if you've got like a demon hunter who just likes jumping on your face, just Tracker's Net him over there, and then he'll try some AoE ranged abilities that they have, like I forgot what the Fell Barrage or whatever it is. It's going to be reduced by 80%. So, well, their chance to hit. So they might miss everything, which is great. It's perfect. It's what you want. So that's all the honor talents covered. Let's go to the pets, which is something I've already talked about, but Cunning is the best for PvP because of this little thing here. Ability that causes your pet to share damage taken with the target. Not also does that. For 12 seconds, it's immune to critical strikes, but damage to and all the damage is transferred to the pet. I can't speak today. It's a clusterfudge of words. Anyway, so that's everything covered for survival. I really like survival, and I really wanted to see it go far, and my view distance is really terrible. And I just hope it does well. So thank you for watching. We'll see what happens in 7.1.5, as in how we are in PvP, because I know Marksman's getting destroyed and BM's sad because it's boring. Yes, it is boring. Whatever you say, it's boring. Anyway, survival in 7.1.5 should be fun, but 7.1 right now, this is great. Try it out. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Tell me what I've done wrong. Tell me what I could do right. You know, have a good day. Cheers.